This is the video of the Tackling an Assignment workshop content. As this video is likely to be for any student at the university across a range of subjects, of course it's generic, so you'll need to apply the information here to the assignments that you've been asked to do. Once you've watched the workshop, you'll know how to interpret your essay questions, how to plan your time effectively, find and evaluate information, as well as how to structure your work correctly, building your argument, using the structure of your paragraphs to help you, and to use and identify academic language before evaluating your own work, and then you hand it in. So those are the things that this session is going to cover, but what it's not going to cover is how to actually find the information that you need to use as evidence, or how to reference that evidence. There are workshops on those topics and therefore videos that cover that content. So the first thing you need to do is to consider what you're being asked to do when you're given a new assignment. You need to unpick the question so that you know what it is that you're being asked to do. And one of the first steps is to identify the actions that your learning outcomes are asking you to complete. For example, these words are likely to appear in your learning outcomes: discuss, demonstrate, compare, describe, analyse, and evaluate. So it's going to be important to know what each of those means in the context of your learning outcomes. The library's Starting an Assignment Guide has got a fact sheet within it called Terms and Definitions that provides the definition of each of these in more detail, as well as a whole load of other words that you might find in your learning outcomes. So become familiar with those so that you know what you're being asked to do. You then need to identify the key concepts in the topic that will enable you to find information effectively. And as you are working throughout the whole piece of work, relate to your learning outcomes all the time. Make sure that you are meeting those constantly and that you are on track. While you're doing this, it's important to be aware of the time that you've got available. You need to plan your actions to achieve the assignment based on the time that you've got available. So think about the hand-in date and then work backwards, and then set deadlines so that you can make sure that you've done each stage of the task well in advance of that deadline so that you know you've got enough time. The tasks that you need to complete will be to research and find the information that you need to understand the topic, then planning it, and then writing it before evaluating it, before you can hand it in. Our time management guide will give you more tips and hints on how to manage this. So the next step is to find the information that you can use as evidence to back up the points you're going to make in your assignment. Your first port of call for this should be your module reading list. That's because your lecturers have put together that list. They've recommended the readings there because they know those sources of information are really relevant and really important books and articles that you can use to support you. But you should also go beyond your reading list. Use library search to find books and journal articles as well as other resources that are related to that topic. You can also use the library databases to find further information, and you have Google Scholar available to you as well. Although, of course, be aware you may not have access to everything via Google Scholar, and there may be quality issues with some of the articles. Using library search means that you can relax, that those will already have had those quality checks. Once you've found that information, you need to read it, and as you do, you need to evaluate it. Obviously, make notes of the relevant points, things you can refer to in your writing, but you should be evaluating sources of information for quality as you go, and this will help you to identify where you can make critical points. Using a tool like the CRAP test, this diagram demonstrates the CRAP test, and CRAP stands for Currency, Relevance, Accuracy, Author, and Purpose. Thinking about these questions will enable you to establish whether the piece of writing, the piece of information, is good enough quality to use in your assignment. If it is good enough quality, there might still be points you can make. For example, it might be a really strong piece of evidence, but it might be quite old. So you can make a critical point to justify why you're using an older piece of evidence. Alternatively, it might be really useful. It might have been very impactful in your field, but it may be that there was funding bias. The authorship might be questionable, but it's important to mention because of the impact it's had on the subject. These are critical points that the evaluation will enable you to identify. Once you've read widely on the topic, you'll need to plan the structure of your assignment. At this point, go back to your assignment brief and think about the format you're being asked to present this in. Is it an essay? Is it a report or a reflection? Does it have a special structure that you need to follow? If it's a typical essay, it will have the structure of introduction, main body, and conclusion. The introduction sets the scene and outlines the scope of the assignment. The main body then is the structure of the points that you're going to make your argument, and then your conclusion summarises and restates the thesis and has a punchy sort of, well, this is why this is so important statement. Make it really clear why this study was important. If it's not an essay and it's a report or a reflection, the main body of your assignment will follow the structure that's indicated in your assignment brief. The library's Types of Assignment Guide will help you with this structure. Part of this planning means deciding how you're going to build your argument. In academic writing, this involves making a claim and then providing proof for it before drawing a conclusion. And you should put the points that you're going to make to develop this into a logical order. Your writing needs to make connections between ideas. It should explain why and how the points are relevant or how they work. Objections should be identified, or barriers, things, issues, problems that will get in the way. And other perspectives should be explored as well. Don't just present the information from one point of view. Academic writing needs to include description, analysis, evaluation, and synthesis of evidence. Description is you making the point. Analysis is explaining why or how that point is important. Making an evaluation is a judgment about the evidence that's being presented. And then synthesis of evidence means that you are bringing a range of evidence together to make that point, rather than just looking at it from one source. The Peel model of paragraph structure helps you to do this, and we've got a page on our academic writing guide that discusses this in more detail. As you plan, it might be a good idea to use a mind map to sort of plot out the points that you're going to make. This will help you identify whether you're making these points in a logical order. It will help you to make those connections and link evidence together and highlight objections to different points. If you don't like using mind maps, lots of people don't, that's fine. You could use a linear plan on a Word document or on a piece of paper, and you could use maybe colours or lines to indicate where you're making those connections and those links. Your plan is flexible, so make changes to it as required. Don't feel like you have to stick with your first plan if that turns out it isn't working for your development of your argument. Next is the writing stage. You need to make sure your academic writing is objective, therefore based on evidence and not from your own personal perspective or emotional point of view. It should be written in formal language, not colloquial, and written in passive voice, not from your own perspective. Don't say, I think that. If it's a reflection, that might be allowed, but most academic writing is in passive voice. It needs to be well structured, so you need to have planned it carefully, and you need to reference all the sources of information that you refer to. Always remember as well that your writing should include description, analysis, evaluation, and should bring in a range of evidence synthesized together. Explore our academic writing guide for more information. Now, the language you're using is important as well, the vocabulary that you're selecting. Academic language can feel a little bit intimidating if you're not used to it. What's important here, though, is that you use the technical terms, the language that's related to your subject, the vocabulary that your lecturers are teaching you. A tool that can really help you with this is Manchester University's Academic Phrase Bank, which is the screenshot here. It's a tool that has sentences that you can adapt for lots of different writing purposes. To find it, go to Google, search for Manchester University Academic Phrase Bank, and you'll be able to find it. Have a play, have an explore, and see how it can help you. The library's Terms and Definitions guide will also help you with this. Now, once you finish writing, before you hand it in, make sure you're evaluating your work. If your assignment brief has its own checklist, then use that, because that's tailored for that assignment, so that will be perfect. If it doesn't, then you can use one that's a generic one, like the one on the screen. This is from the Study Skills Handbook by Stella Cottrell. It is on page 327 of that book, which is available as an ebook or in print via the library, and you can find it on Library Search. I would recommend making a screenshot or a photocopy or a printout of this page that you can keep in your folder, put it on your pinboard, keep it close to you so that you can use it for every assignment. It asks you questions so that you can check off, have you achieved these things, if they're relevant to each assignment. If there's something you realise you haven't done, you've then got an opportunity to go back and correct that. Use our proofreading guide to help you to make final improvements before hand-in as well. Once you've got your result back, you will also have some written feedback. This feedback will be given to you at the end of your work, and there will be comments at specific points throughout the assignment within the feedback document. And the aim of this is to help you to improve. So even if there are things that you need to work on, don't take that as a bad thing necessarily. Your lecturers want you to get better, which is why they're pointing this out to you. Read it carefully. Don't dismiss it. And then make an action plan based on those comments. Prioritise which things are the major issues, the things that might impact your mark more than the minor ones. Work on the major things first. Use the feedback that you've been given to help you improve your next piece of work. So we hope that this video has helped you to tackle your assignments and to have some strong action points that you can take forward. Please do explore our other workshops and the videos that there are of those workshops, and we hope that they help you to improve your work and to ensure academic success.